Dear students, this is one of my two classes on blood banking and blood transfusion. I would like you people to give equal importance to both because what we omit is our university question. In this particular session, we shall be dealing with the complications of blood transfusion. Sometimes it comes as an essay or part of an essay, but usually it is a short note, but it will carry another set of marks in your practicals and the hematology viva. So please do not ever omit either of these topics. Whenever the student is asked, what are the complications of blood transfusion? They fumble. I do not know why. But then I stepped onto a very stupid mnemonic, which I liked very much. Father, mother. I think you people will be able to remember these two words. Father and mother. Fine. F for febrile reactions. A for allergic reactions. Sometimes the patient will be throwing a set of fever, or there can be a rigor and a shivering, or sometimes even a rhinitis, allergic. Thrombophlebitis, inflammation of the site. Hemosiderosis, whenever there is an overload. Embolism, obviously an air embolism is what we are talking about. And reactions to the stored blood that can be acting as a foreign body leading to a reaction. All these can be one set of reactions called the father. Another one is mother. M and O go together. Massive transmission which leads to overload. Transmission of infections, we all have been talking about, and there have been enough cases where the patient lands up with syphilis or HIV. Hemolysis, whenever there is no proper storage, temperature maintenance, or the wrong blood group. Then there can be derangement in the erythropoiesis. Reaction due to mismatch. Please remember this, father, mother, you have to by heart. This is a more logical set that too I have retrieved from the net, which I would like you people to by heart once again. Don't be at the father, mother level itself. Clear? Air. Now, what is the component? What kind of a complication can it create? Air, it can lead to air embolism. Volume, it can lead to circulatory overload. Cold, it can lead to hypothermia. RBCs, there can be major reactions or minor reactions. WBCs, they got substances which can produce a febrile reaction. Plasma, which can lead to allergic reaction, and dilutional coagulopathy. Sometimes we think that more blood we give, the more platelets patient will contain. It is actually the other way around. Platelets can lead to dilution of the clotting factors as well. Dilutional coagulopathy. Biochemistry, there can be a citrate toxicity. Microaggregation leading to blockage of the small alveolar blood vessels and dyspnea. Infections, it can be bacterial, viral, parasitic. And immune, anaphylaxis, immunosuppression. It is not in order. In fact, this anaphylaxis is what we should be worried about, though it is not very common. So this is quite logical. What is the component? What kind of a complication it produces? I hope you people will be able to memorize this. Transfusion reactions are generally divided into immunological reactions, non-immunological reactions. So in this one, it is immune reactions of blood transfusion. Hemolytic transfusion reaction. It can be because of ABO incompatibility or RH incompatibility. How should I handle it? You repeat the blood grouping and the RH typing. And the management is you'll have to immediately discontinue the transfusions. If the patient develops some complications like renal failure or DIC, those will have to be attended to. Allergic reaction. So it is due to the release of histamine. And Antihistamines will have to be given, discontinue the transfusions. Anaphylaxis. It is because of anaphylotoxins. A reverse cross match will have to be done. Discontinue the transfusions and vasoconstrictors will have to be given because there can be vasodilatation and then there can be a shock. A delayed type of hemolytic reaction also can occur. It is due to sensitization of the red cell antigens. And the investigation will be direct antiglobulin test. That is a Coombs test which can be positive. So this particular one is something that we will have to read and write. It is worth its weight in gold. So this is what is happening. So the RBC itself, or on the surface, it has got some proteins which act as antigens to which antibodies are produced. These antibodies cross-link with the other RBCs, and then there is a clumping of the RBCs, leading to the activation of the complement system, cytotoxic activity. There is a hemolysis. So blood transfusion reaction, commonly you get a respiratory complication, a renal failure, severe hemolytic anemia. Ultimately, the patient can go in for shock. In such a case, if we feel that something wrong has been done, we will have to do what is called as a minor cross match. Minor cross match is RBCs of the recipient are mixed with the serum of the donor, and you find out whether there is any congeniality between the two. In phase 1, there is a saline phase followed with you do an indirect Coombs test which turns out to be positive or negative. The major cross match will be the RBCs from the donor and the serum from the patient. So these two tests are important screening tests. This has to be done in the event of a reaction. This story, I think you people will be knowing, Merchant of Venice. So he demands a pound of flesh. And ultimately the lawyer argues, he can take the pound of flesh without a drop of blood. And there it ends. Now what will happen when there is going to be a group incompatibility, whether it is RH or ABO? You find that there is hemolysis. Because of hemolysis, that hemolysis means destruction and death of the RBCs. As a result of which, more and more nucleated RBCs are pumped into the peripheral blood. Normally, we do not see nucleated RBCs in the peripheral blood. This is a peripheral blood picture. These are all the normal RBCs. But there are many nucleated RBCs. I think it is a lymphocyte, but I'm finding the cytoplasm of an RBC. Therefore, these are all nucleated RBCs. Look at the number over here. This is very common in any blood group incompatibility, erythroblastosis, fetalis, etc. And you find that there can be dyserythropoiesis. Look at this. It is appearing somewhat a budding type of a nucleus, which is not normal. Another dyserythropoietic RBC. Hemolytic anemia will be there, because of which there can be jaundice. Another picture, courtesy McGraw-Hill. So this one I would like you people to kindly note. In this one, I am finding a lot of this mature RBCs, normocytic, normochromic RBCs. But then there are some cells which are larger, which are having a purplish or a bluish tinge, and they are all polychromatic cells or reticulocytes. Also, I see that there are many nucleated RBCs. A nucleated RBC over here. Polychromatic cells are seen, nucleated RBCs are seen. In a case of hemolytic anemia due to defective blood transfusion. Then, what can be the immune complications? Under that, you have got the hemolytic complications. Always when I say immune, there has to be antigen antibody. One of the major ones will be ABO incompatibility. It can be because of human error. Grouping is not properly done. Cross-matching has not been properly done. I told you earlier, stop the transfusion, retest the compatibility, make use of the pilot bottle. And you also try to attend to these complications such as chills or renal shutdown. Sometimes it can be extravascular complications due to RH antigen. And this is because of re-exposure to the RH antigen. There can be a jaundice, Coombs test has to be done, which will be positive. Supportive treatment will have to be given. So immunological complications, mainly hemolytic complications, people should know, memorize it. And then there can be immunological complications which are non-hemolytic. Because of that, there can be some kind of antigen antibody reaction, febrile reactions are there, urticarial reactions, anaphylaxis. The patient can go in for shock. Pulmonary edema, there can be a non-cardiogenic one. Graft versus host reactions, purpura. And when too much of transmission is given, that can lead to an immunosuppression as well. These are all non-hemolytic complications. And the cause can be white blood cell or platelet sensitization. It can lead to a febrile reaction. Or erythema and hives, it can lead to urticarial reactions. Type 1 hypersensitivity can lead to anaphylactic reactions. Edema, ARDS can result in a pulmonary edema. Graft versus host reactions, it can occur in immunocompromised patients. And platelet antibodies will lead to purpura. Renal transplant patients can develop an immunosuppression. This is something that I forgot to mention because all the renal transplants, we try to have the transplanted organ in place. As a result of which there will be a lot of immunosuppressors that will be given. The patient can go in for superadded infections. Then there is a set of complications called the non-immune complications. With massive transfusion, you can get all these complications. Cardiac overload, coagulopathy because of dilution, citrate toxicity, hypothermia, acid-base imbalance, and electrolyte imbalance, hyperkalemia. By heart, there is no other word for it. And these are some words that have also been given: TACO, TRELI, and TAD. TACO is transfusion associated cardiac overload. If you go to anesthesia and surgery, I think these words will be more familiar to you people. TRALI, transfusion associated lung injury, and TAD, transfusion associated dyspnea. I hope you people will be able to by heart this mnemonics and the set of complications. What are all the infectious complications? It can be hepatitis, AIDS, other viral diseases, which can be either cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, HTLV, paramyxovirus. Parasites such as malaria. Usually the examiner asks, what other parasite can you mention? The answer is toxoplasmosis. Don't answer filariasis. Gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria. These are, of course, the most common infectious complications. And another word about the needle, even the best of needles are not sharp at both ends. Nice. This is a story about the toxoplasmosis. It's an exam question for you in parasitology. I will not be going into. In this, I am finding that there can be bradyzoids, sporozoids, etc. So this is a sporozoid over here, and then it becomes a tachyzoid, and there is an asexual reproduction. The cells rupture, and then there is a development of more of these parasites. Sometimes it can enter the blood vessel and it can go into the blood. There can be a hematogenous mode of spread, and it can sometimes go to the fetus across the placenta. So there is a cycle over here. Better go to parasitology, and for my business, it is toxoplasmosis gondii. Malaria. Patient can land up with cerebral malaria also. So the various forms of the malarial parasites, the stages will have to be looked for. It is our business and the blood banks. Falciparum, Vivax, malariae, and Uveitis. These two are not common, but these two are very much prevalent in India. This is a ring form of the malarial parasite. This can be given as a chart for you people in hematology. And the banana shaped gametocytic form in falciparum. This is a dark brown microscopy. Of course, I'm having a very dark background in which I'm finding some spiring or spiral bodies, which is Trypanemma pallidum. These are all spirochetes because they resemble the spiral of a spring and hence. And Treponema pallidum means thin. This is another organism, our famous HIV, which we have almost forgotten thanks to a COVID. But then it has been devastating. It has been ruining many people's lives. HIV, this has to be looked for by means of the Western blot or the ELISA test. And there's a component separation I had been talking to you people in the earlier class, you people should know. The primary bag from which you find they are progressively emptied onto the other bags. Finally, an additive can be added so that you make up a volume with this. The blood bag, the contents of which we have already seen, but this particular one, I am interested in this bottle. This is called the pilot bottle. After collecting the blood in the blood bag, there is a small amount of blood that is put into an empty bottle with the anticoagulant, and this is called the pilot bottle. The same number will have to be given over here. If there is a reaction on the operating table, immediately there is a cross match that is done at this. So we'll have to confirm whether it is the same blood that has been given or there is a mistake at the theater. So the pilot bottle, please remember. And what are all the screening tests for blood? The cross matching is important. Reverse cross match whenever there is a reaction. Pilot bottle blood collection is important. Coombs test, direct and indirect, will have to be done. Screening test for infectious diseases, either by the ELISA, the Western blot, or by the microscope. Sometimes a gram stain will have to be done if there is any purulent material. Blood can circulate forever if you keep donating it. Just pause for a minute and think. What will happen? You donate blood, it circulates in another patient. After some time, he recovers, he donates blood. I do not know from where they got this imagination. A nice quote indeed. Susanta.